I learned to notice Tuesdays because they were the quietest day of my week. No meetings, no deadlines, just the low hum of the refrigerator and the mail slot snapping shut around noon. I worked from home on those days, which meant I was there when the blue sedan appeared across the street for the first time. I assumed it belonged to a neighbor's guest. We live on a street where people visit and leave without explanation. The second Tuesday, it was there again. By the third, I knew the make, the sun-faded scratch above the rear wheel, the way the driver always parked half a foot too far from the curb. He never looked toward the house. He checked his phone, waited, then walked off down the block. Always in the same direction. Always gone for about 3 hours. I didn't mention it to my wife. Not then. Observation still felt innocent. Accusation would have been a decision. A month earlier, she'd mentioned her ex in passing, only because a mutual friend had asked after him. "He moved overseas," she said, shrugging. "I don't even know where anymore." She said it easily. That's what stayed with me. No hesitation. No need to defend the claim. It sounded rehearsed, but I told myself that was unkind thinking. Still, on Tuesdays the car kept arriving. I tried to reframe it as coincidence. Cities are made of coincidences stacked until they look like intention. I told myself that noticing patterns was not the same as understanding them. That suspicion was a kind of arrogance. But denial has a sound. It's the silence after a thought you refuse to finish. The GPS tracker arrived in a small padded envelope on a Thursday. I ordered it late at night after my wife had fallen asleep beside me, her back turned in the familiar way that used to feel like comfort. The purchase felt less like betrayal than paperwork. No surge of adrenaline, just a checkbox clicked. I waited until the next Tuesday. When the blue sedan appeared, I slipped on a jacket and crossed the street with my hands in my pockets. The air smelled like wet leaves and car exhaust. I attached the tracker quickly, magnet snapping into place under the rear bumper. My heart didn't race. I noticed that instead. Back inside, I watched the signal move on my phone. Not away from the neighborhood. Toward it. Then past it. Then onto the highway. I didn't follow immediately. I made coffee. I answered 2 emails. I let the evidence exist without me. Eventually, I got in my car. The motel was 15 minutes away, the kind that advertised weekly rates and privacy with equal enthusiasm. Beige walls. A sign missing 1 letter. I parked across the street, engine idling, hands resting loosely on the wheel. My wife's car was already there. It was angled toward the sedan, close enough that their bumpers almost touched. Intimate in a way parking rarely is. I sat and watched for a long time, waiting for something cinematic to happen. Raised voices, a mistake, a reason to act. Nothing did, so I didn't go inside. I drove home instead. The locksmith arrived an hour later. He didn't ask questions. He replaced the locks with efficient politeness, handing me 2 new keys that felt heavier than the old ones. While he worked, I walked through the house noticing details I hadn't allowed myself to see in years. A crack in the hallway paint, a loose cabinet hinge, the faint smell of her shampoo lingering in the bathroom. After he left, I called my attorney. She answered on the second ring, voice calm, as if she'd been expecting me. We spoke in clean sentences. Dates, assets, next steps. The language of endings without drama. By the time I filed the paperwork electronically, the motel tracker showed no movement. I imagined them inside the room, unaware of the small administrative shifts occurring miles away. No shouting, no slammed doors, just systems changing state. They returned in the early evening. I didn't watch from the window. I was sitting at the kitchen table, the new keys lined up in front of me. When the door handle rattled, the sound was almost curious, like someone testing a theory. Then my phone buzzed. Why isn't the key working? I didn't reply. A few minutes later, there was knocking. Not frantic, confused. The kind of knocking that assumes explanation is forthcoming. I stayed seated. Eventually, the knocking stopped. Later that night, I slept alone in the bed we'd shared for 12 years. It wasn't restful sleep. It was fragmented, shallow, but it was mine. In the weeks that followed, I learned that quiet decisions echo longer than loud ones. Friends asked questions I didn't fully answer. My wife left messages I never played. The divorce moved forward with the steady pace of something designed to end things cleanly. I didn't feel victorious. I felt aligned. Some losses don't require confrontation to be real. Some power shifts don't announce themselves. They happen when you stop asking for the truth and start responding to it. On Tuesdays now, the street is empty again. I still notice, but I don't wait.